discussions, the meetings that you've had in January and today, it's always been considered constructive and positive.
Yes.
But then also we hear it being played out in Parliament on both sides, having to sort of have a sparring of words. I guess what will it take then to have that concrete sort of negotiation to come on the same page?
Well, I think today's agreement is a very important first step. The key point is that we are reverting to the situation that existed before the 25th of October last year. So that's why you see, pursuant to that, it means the port limits revert to that. The Malaysian vessels will have to leave the area. There will be no commercial activities there. Basically, it will revert to what it was before all this occurred. The main objective here is to de-escalate the situation on the ground, make sure that we lower the risk of untoward incidents. Once that gets done, then you set the environment right, and then we can commence negotiations for delimitation. But you can't have negotiations if there are things happening on the ground or there's tension and there's a very real risk of collision or accidents. So this is an important first step. But it's only a first step, and it's a long journey, because obviously in the case of Malaysia, and I've said this before, including in Parliament, they are our closest permanent neighbours. Because of history, because of proximity, there will always be issues from time to time. Right now, we've got several issues that need to be resolved. My approach is to resolve them one by one. Wherever we can make progress, we will make progress. Those which will take longer to gestate, we will do so in a more deliberate, careful way. So this is a positive step, but one step in a long journey.
So, sir,
yes.
There was a suggestion from Malaysia last year to vacate the area already, but that didn't happen then. What has changed since?
No, that proposal last year was not acceptable, because in our view, these are our territorial waters. We don't allow ships to anchor there. We don't allow commercial activities. We have always patrolled, and we will do all these things now. So this is very different from what was proposed last year. We could not accept that proposal because, in our view, that would have meant a reduction in our position with respect to our territorial sovereignty.
Sorry, can you just outline what is different from that proposal and what was agreed to do?
In today's proposal, their ships will leave. The port limits will revert to the situation before the 25th of October, and we will continue to patrol those areas in accordance with our laws and in accordance with the UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. So there will be lowered risk of incidents. We go back to the pre-existing situation that we had before October last year, and then we can sit down, we can commence the process of negotiations for delimitation.
So the difference would be that you're still allowed to patrol.
There's no question about it. These are our waters.
Correct. I mean,
we will patrol. There's no doubt about that.
From the previous one was that Malaysia wanted no patrols, no details.
Well, we didn't go into details of the previous proposal, but in any case, that was not acceptable. Right. So the main purpose of these arrangements now are to de-escalate the situation on the ground and avoid risk of accidents and incidents. And once these measures that we've agreed on are implemented, then within a month of these measures being implemented, we can commence the process for delimitation.
Minister, both countries have made a stand clear on the water agreement over the last few days.
Yes.
You mentioned there will be continuing discussions. What is the direction of this discussion between the two Attorney Generals?
Well, both sides have made it very clear that we have differing views on the right of review. In the case of Singapore, our consistent and long-held position is that Malaysia has lost the right to review the price of water. They have a different view, And the suggestion that was made by both Prime Ministers was for the Attorneys General on both sides sit down and let both sides get a better appreciation of each other's interpretation of the right of review. That first discussion was actually supposed to have occurred in December last year, but unfortunately it got overshadowed by the disputes on the port limits and on airspace. So that first meeting really did not make any progress, and certainly no agreements were reached. We will now anticipate that sometime in the near future, the two Attorney Generals will get together and again give them an opportunity to discuss so that there's a better appreciation for our respective positions. But I want to stress that there is no agreement at this point in time. There's only agreement to sit down, to explain, discuss, and to appreciate each other's respective positions.
Minister, with regard to the recent recommendations, just one last question.
Sorry?
With regard to the recent recommendations today, what if Malaysia do not respect or abide by it? Because it has happened before.
Then we won't commence negotiations.
Minister, does that mean that today's agreement is
Thank you very much.
No, it's very clear cut. We have agreed on 5 items. The first 4 items need to be fulfilled in their entirety. Then we can commence negotiations. Let's see how things work out over the days and weeks to come.